So what's fertilizer? Well, fertilizer can be anything from chemicals supplying nitrogen and other things to your soil. It could come from cow crap. Yeah, cow crap. Doesn't smell very good, but it works good. Smells a little worse than chicken crap, but chicken crap works too. The fertilizer we're using this year is a compost of chicken crap and some vermiculite and just some compost. Doesn't smell very good, but it really does a good job in the garden. Even comes with these handy planting tips. That's going to help you out. So when you break open the bag, it's kind of clumpy and it looks kind of like poop. Well, it is kind of. You have to take a rake and break it up. Usually it's a little bit moist, and that's fine. The moisture is going to help keep it from turning into dust and blowing away, because who wants to breathe it? So I broke it up really good with the rake, and here you can see I've taken it and sort of spread it around on the large beds. I figured I've got about a cubic foot, and that'll do about 100 square feet, and that'll cover my raised beds just fine. So I took half of it and spread it around. We're going to mix it in, so I think the distribution of it's going to be okay. Now the way I'm going to mix it in is I'm going to use my really fancy, newfangled Chinese rototiller that I got online at Amazon. It's a Greenworks electric cultivator. Basically a big motor on a gearbox, and it digs this stuff in. For our garden, it works really good. I've read some reviews where they don't work very good and they failed early on, but that seems to be an early on issue. We've had absolutely no trouble with it. It does a lot better job of mixing than me on the business end of a cultivator. So if I didn't have this, I'd have to get out there with a shovel and a rake and a cultivator and do it the old-fashioned way, and that's not a whole lot of fun. Here you can see I'm going across sideways just to try and get the edges. I want to make sure that everything's mixed in really good. Okay, I got one bed done. It's time to go back and knock everything back in with the rake, because all that material on the outside edge is fertilizer. I don't want it to go out in the grass. Not that it would hurt the grass, but hey, I'm paying for it and I want it to be in here with my chili peppers and all that other good stuff. So yeah, I'm going to get it in there. I'm going to rake it out. Everything looks pretty good. I'm not trying to pack it down. I'm just trying to kind of level it off, get ready for planting. Let this set for a day or two, get a couple days rain on it so it sort of permeates itself and the microbes get a chance to start off and get going. And hey, we're in business, you know. So once I get it fairly flat, that's good, because I'm going to come back out and mess around with it when I do the actual planting. Now once you put it on, you get it turned in, it's going to look something like this. You can see that it's not super flat, but it's flat enough for what we're doing. We build a digester, which is basically a fancy way of saying, hey look, it's a cow stomach. We can make homemade cow crap out of grass clippings. Well, the bolts that we put on it to hold the lid on got stuck. Only one would come off. Chris had to go get a set of vice grips, and he was able to use the vice grips to get most of the bolts off. However, the nut on this one was still rusted on it. It wouldn't come off. You could spend money for stainless steel, or you could do like me and just cut them off if they're that big a deal. I mean, it's just a digester, right? The idea behind this was that we'd put grass clippings and whatnot inside of it and let it breathe. I didn't want it building up gas, so I put holes in it, but I didn't put any holes in the bottom. There's my feet. So when you take the lid off, there's an overwhelming smell of it. It kind of smells like Puget Sound when the tide's out. You can see the look of love on Chris's face for that smell. There it is. That looks a lot like cow duty, and that's kind of what it is. We don't drain the water out of it when we make it, so the water that's in there is really a highly concentrated fertilizer, and it is nasty. You can see here we're putting it in the wagon. We're going to take this stuff and put it over on the beds, on our corn beds. We had very good luck running it last year, though I'm going to drill some holes in the bottom of this year and go to more of a dry compost tumbler. The digester works great, but it just really stinks and it's a pain in the neck to use. So I think we're going to probably even take it maybe down off the tumbler stand. Although I might leave it on the tumbler stand, because it is a quick and easy way to turn your compost. You just have to figure out how to keep the lid on it. Now you can see this stuff coming out here. It looks just like cow crap. It smells like cow crap. And my garden doesn't know the difference between this and cow crap, so it's a pretty good deal for the corn. Our corn did really well last year running this same nasty mess of stuff. You can see here that our digester is basically a coffee can on an all-thread rod with some nuts in it. There's a couple of pressure-treated 4x4s with notches cut in the top that rod sits in, and just an old cheap garbage can. There you go. Ain't a whole lot to it. It comes down. You can take it down if you want to. There's the holes I was talking about that let the air out. If you didn't put holes in it, it would blow the lid off once it started fermenting and getting nasty. You see, you can tip it upside down, and there's no holes in the bottom. That keeps some moisture in there and turns it into a digester. Ew, it's like a big cow's stomach. Nasty. You can see Sis here helping me out. She really loves anything stinky, and this fits the bill pretty good. I'm spreading it around. I figured I'd take half of the load of homemade cow duty, put it up in the corn beds. There you go. It's looking pretty good. Dog wants to know if I'm going to give her any of it. You can see her licking her lips. Dogs are nasty. They're just nasty. She would eat this stuff if I didn't keep an eye on her. I know she would. She kept going over and getting her nose down in that digester because it stinks. Nasty dog. The hardest part of getting this stuff out of the wagon is that it wants to get down in the cracks, and that's kind of a pain in the neck. I put the other half of the homemade cow crap on the other corn bed. We're just going to kind of spread it around a little bit. The mixer will do the biggest job of getting it down in there, and it will keep breaking down over the next couple months. It will keep feeding the corn. So my baby corn that I plant here in the near future is going to have plenty of stuff to eat. Because corn does like to eat. And that's something that you don't really think about. They don't tell you. When you're doing raised bed gardens, you're really concentrating a lot of stuff in a small area. And to do corn properly, you really need some space. We don't have a lot of space, but we've been pretty successful growing them in these little tiny 2x6 beds because the corn's close together. It can pollinate really well. The fence helps to generate, or the fence helps to reflect some of the heat back out. And the corn just seems to come along pretty nicely. We have to keep it watered, and we got to make sure it's well fed though, and that means amending our soil every season. We did one bed last summer with this stuff and one bed that was clear, and it didn't work so well. Here we are again with the old Greenworks. Now that doing it with the fake cow crap is a little more difficult because it likes to clump up and stick and turn into big wads that get thrown around. It's kind of like making biscuits with big poo smelling dough. But poo smelling dough is what's going to give us some nice big ears of corn come this fall. And I do like to have some ears of corn. I have friends that tell me, why on earth would you do that? You can get corn for 20 cents an ear. I don't know, man. I like the look of corn. Maybe it's all the time we spent in Nebraska and Kansas, but I really like the look of corn, and I like knowing what's in my food. You know, we know exactly what we're putting into this. We know that there weren't any chemicals used on it. We know it's organic. We know it's healthy, and it's just an exercise in hope, man. If you've got nothing else going on in your life, you grow a garden, it's going to give you something to look forward to, something to think about, and something to hope for. You know, it's a positive thing. Wearing a tie-dyed t-shirt while you're doing it just makes it that much more special. It would probably be a lot easier if my flower pots weren't there, but I like the flowers around the corn. It just looks pretty. If you wait and let the homemade cow dew dry up a little bit and go to do this, it will break up and get down in there, but I think it's harder to get in because the density is so much higher than the surrounding soil. It tends to jump around and kick that stuff all over the place. So I think using it wet, while it's kind of a pain in the neck, I think you get a better mixture out of it. I know in a week or so when we come back and we plant our corn, everything's going to look really good. It's not going to be an issue for us at all. Bad thing is we have raccoons that come in here and they get after my corn, so I'm thinking about maybe planting an electric fence too. I've asked the dog to chase the raccoons off, or at least have a word with them, but she's so lazy, all she wants to do is lay around. Maybe if they brought cookies or some Cheetos, she'd probably go after them, but at this point she's just going to lay around and be lazy. Yeah, you want to make sure when you're mixing this stuff too that you get down in there nice and deep. Let it get down under there. You also got to rake it out, just like on the big beds. We're going to rake these and try and keep all the soil in there we can. Not because I'm so concerned about losing dirt, but more because I'm concerned about losing nutrients. We put all these nutrients in here, and I want to make sure that they stay where we can use them. If you look around the bed, there's all manner of weeds that get on the ground back in there, and I'll come around later and chase them off. But for right now, I don't want to encourage them by giving them some really stinky homemade cow crap. I kind of wish we had bigger corn beds, you know, more space. But like I said in the last video, we live on a golf course, and the space we have is the space we have. This isn't Iowa, for goodness sakes, so we get to plant 24 square feet of corn. Running the rows like this, I should be able to get 3 rows in there, maybe 4 rows if I stagger them right. That'll still let air move through the corn so we don't get a whole bunch of mildew or anything.